Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Small Ball Podcast, brought to you by Sports Performance Center in Starkville. That's our buddy Sirio up there. Sports Performance Center. We appreciate all of those guys for taking care of us. Today, we're going to talk about summer routines, camps, training, that kind of stuff with special guest Josh Kittrell, owner operator of Top Level Sports facility out there in Petal. And as you can see behind Chancy, he's at Top Level Sports right now. He's got batting cages behind him. They've got all kinds of things. We're going to give you a little tour in a minute, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the facility. But I'm Charlie Rogers here with Chancy Rogers, owner operator Bull Baseball. Chancy, what's going on, brother?
What's up, Charlie, man? I'm excited about doing a little morning one. I've got my coffee. I think it's called the Sip. I'll give them a free plug over there, but it's pretty good here in Petal. I feel like, like when I was kind of preparing for this on the way, taking Layla to school, and it brings me back to my music days. We talked about music last week, but we'd have to go do these shows and stuff. And the next morning, I had an artist that had a little radio tour. We'd have to get up early in the morning and go do a radio show, and that's what it feels like a little morning radio show. So I'm excited about kind of mixing it up, maybe getting a different audience a little bit that's a little more active in the morning and more willing to hear our voices and be at a cool place like this. I've been wanting to come over here for a while. Me and Josh have been talking a lot, and it's pretty much from the podcast. He's a fan of the podcast and want to come see his place. Got a super nice place over here, and so it was just a great opportunity. We was planning on meeting anyway, and so here we are. So it was great timing.
I like the way Josh put it on Facebook, excuse me, on his Facebook post. He said, if you don't have anything to do whenever you get to work this morning, go ahead and tune in and check us out. So I like that. If you're at work and you're not doing much, glad to have you with us. And then, as always, you can listen after the fact. You can pull this video up on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and then you can also listen to the audio version on anywhere you get podcasts, really. So do appreciate all of you. We're just changing it up a little bit, doing a little something different. It's not permanent, but something that we're going to have a little fun with. So, Chancy, before we get started with Josh, the end of the travel ball season's coming up on us pretty quick. I know our team has 2 tournaments left over the next 3 or 4 weeks. And so, we're going to talk a lot about what to do over the summer and what to look for in training and things to work on and things not to do. I think is really kind of where you wanted to go. Like, hey, don't get out of these routines and that kind of thing. But as you come to another season, you've been coaching travel ball and training travel ballers for a while. And I don't want to get into any details because we're going to do that with Josh. But just, kind of emotionally, what do you see in kids as the season starts to wind up? Do you see kids ready to be done? Do you see kids disappointed because it's almost over? What do you see a lot of times in kids?
Yeah, and it's one reason I wanted to kind of talk about this because I feel like it's a battle I fight, with sharing information with these kids and like, hey, the summertime blues is a thing. They're getting done with school, so they feel like an end is near, and like summertime we're going to go on vacation, whatnot, and of course we want them to do that, but man, there's so many days in the summer that a lot of kids are doing nothing. And and they just totally shut down, and because they get out of routine. They wake up early in the morning, they go to school, and then they've got their activities after school, whether it's playing for a travel team or they got rec or soccer, football, whatever they're playing, and that's their routine. But then summertime is like, all right, let's it's like, oh man, let's eat Fruit Loops and watch cartoons in the morning, and I think that's a lot of parents too. They just kind of like they feel like a break is near, and that's where a lot of kids sometimes fall behind or get surpassed. I don't want to say fall behind, but there's kids out there maybe not just on your team, maybe not just in your town, but somewhere, or they've got a plan and got a routine, and they replace time with other stuff. And there's opportunity because you do have more time. You're out of school that maybe you can, a player can get better at something that they're not, and or get stronger where they need to get stronger. And I just think it's a great opportunity. It takes sacrifice. It takes sometimes money. Sometimes just time and getting kids everywhere. I mean, I've got two little ones, and I know it's hard, but you got camps, you got everybody's offering something, but it's not just that. You can go to a facility like this, have a membership, or you can go to your local rec field and do something. There's just always something to do besides do nothing. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. Just make sure that you kind of get a game plan and get a routine and try to stick to it. And to me, that's going to go into, like, if you have a job, when you get done with high school or college, anything, it's just a good habit to create habits. It's a good habit to create habits. T-shirt.
Definitely. Yeah. We're gonna trademark that. Hey, so let's roll into our rule of the week. I wasn't super prepared on the rule of the week like I try to be normally. So we kind of talked about it before in our little prep before the show. And you kind of wanted to talk about deking or faking or whatever it is, because we saw a couple weeks ago, I think it was a kid from Arkansas. Was it Arkansas?
It was Arkansas.
That they kind of faked out some guys in the outfield, or there was a runner at third. There was a fly ball to the outfield. He faked like he caught it before it actually got to him, so the runner got off the base. And then he actually caught it. Well, the runner is now kind of caught and has to get back before he can tag up and that kind of thing. And so it was effective. But it
might not be ever again. It might not ever be. Because the people are working on it now. They're aware of it. He's a legend now. That outfielder.
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a great move. And it was effective, but you want to talk more about when that's legal and when it's not. So I'm gonna kind of let you go with that, because I actually didn't know that it wasn't legal ever. So not specifically that in the outfield, but some other deeks and kind of tricks that people try to do that are not legal.
Yeah. So a deke is kind of like a fake, like you're pretending you're doing something and you're not. When I got first introduced to learning how to deke something, it was in high school. As simple as, say, Jackson plays third, so I'm third baseman, and I'm the cut home, right, and from left field, and the ball's coming through. The catcher says nothing. He doesn't want to cut, but you give a little like I'm about to cut it deal. It's gonna make that runner that hit the ball hesitate going to second. And so that's just a little deke to kind of slow him down. The deke that the outfielder did was never done before. That's why I say he's a legend now. But now teams are going to be looking for that. Like, make sure he's catching the ball. He just acted, for people that hadn't seen it, he acted like he was about to catch it and the ball was still in the air, and then come back and caught it. So the runner hesitated and he caught it and threw him out. It was crazy. So that's a deke there, but that's just a fake. But you can't, so kind of the rule of it, you can't fake tag, like tag a runner that's stealing or even, coming to a base if you don't have the ball. Now, it's umpire's discretion. I don't know if you pulled it up or whatever, but, obviously sometimes you just miss a ball and maybe put a tag on. But you'll see some kids, and I'll see them in travel ball sometimes, and I'll tell them umpire might miss it. Like, you can't be tagging him without the ball. You can't fake a tag. You might as well just punch him in the face. It's the way you can look at it. You can't just tag him with your glove and you don't have a ball. So just so for kids out there, don't be doing that fake tag. Now you can deke like the ball, like you almost going to catch it to make him slide or something, and the ball might be headed to the center field wall. You can do that, but you just can't tag them. You can't. It's like you punching them seriously. So that's a rule. But deking is it's a useful tool in baseball. Kind of people don't really talk about it much, but as you're watching baseball this summer, you kind of look at it and like, that infielder that, that was a good deke right there. It slowed the runner down, kept him from going to second. It's just a little small thing. So,
yeah. So one of Jackson's favorite things he's ever done, he still talks about it sometimes, is he's playing second base and runner gets to second and he fakes a throw back to the pitcher and still has the ball in his glove. Dude steps off the base. Jackson tags him. He's out.
yeah.
He was so excited about that. But there's some rules with that too. And I didn't know this until later, but you can do that and you can hold on to the ball, but the pitcher cannot get on the mound without the ball, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it'd be like a balk.
So, yeah. So the pitcher would have to kind of be walking around or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He can't get on the mound. Yeah.
That's why you teach the base runners that you do not get off that bag until he touches the mound. I mean, touches the rubber, Mm-hmm. So as soon as he toes that rubber, he's got to have that ball for sure. Yep.
So yeah, and then you see a lot of MLB players do that kind of stuff. They'll fake throw the ball back to the pitcher, and and 99% of the time it doesn't work. But there's always that one little time when it does, and then it gets on all the YouTube videos and all the highlights TikToks. And all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
TikToks and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, well, so let's go ahead and bring our guest in, Josh Kittrell. Let's see if I can pull him in over here.
Hey, fellas.
There he is.
What's up, Josh?
Kittrell with us. Josh's been around. We've known Josh for a long time. He's been with a couple of teams around the area, but he has opened up Top Level Sports out in Petal, and that's where you are, and that's where he is too. Actually, y'all are just in two separate areas because you didn't want to tell the other one that they smell bad, so you just went somewhere else. So our topic tonight, or today, I say tonight, this morning, is kind of summer routines, camps, training, how to stay consistent, stay prepared. So, Josh, I think this leads into this, but kind of what was the purpose for opening up Top Level Sports, and what need did you see that's kind of filling out there?
Well, Petal really hasn't had anything like this ever, as far as I know of. I grew up playing baseball in Petal, and the most we ever really had was the small batting cages by Wards, and everybody that's really what everybody remembers it as. It was JR's batting cage, and that it was literally just a coin-op cage outside, dimple balls with a sloped concrete. It was self-fed, so I mean, it was as basic as you could get. So it wasn't really much training. It was more so just come in and just hit baseballs or softballs. And the training has gone such a crazy direction that I felt like Petal needed something here to kind of help the athletes get where they needed to be. And I wanted to see training go in a direction that really needs to happen to get minds focused where they needed to be. And that's kind of the direction I wanted to go with the business, and that's why I started it.
So what kind of training are you guys doing out there? I know you've got batting cages. I know you guys have a little field outside. What kind of training are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we've got baseball and softball stuff here. Inside, we've got 5 cages. We've got 2 bullpens upstairs, and out back, we've got 37,000 roughly square feet of turf. And we're actually in the process this week. We've been trying to get netting put up around it to kind of keep some balls in and make it a little easier to work outside there. We do quite a bit of private and small group lessons. We've got quite a few trainers here that work pretty much daily, and they're on a rotating availability schedule. They all have their own jobs as well, so they're kind of in and out when they can be here. We do have a few that are pretty much on staff as their full-time positions with us. What we do is we've got small group lessons, which is kind of honestly where our trainers prefer to be with the athletes and what we've seen the most success in. We do also do some camps and stuff like that. Right now, we don't have anything on the schedule for camps. I know Vantage Sports had one scheduled for Sunday, and they've decided to postpone that for this weekend. So that may be coming back at some point. So we'll hear back from them maybe on that. We are looking to possibly add some classes, which I think are going to be something that the people could really benefit from and would be really cool. We do Fun Friday, which I love the hardcore training idea, but at some point you also realize that it's got to be fun too, and it can't always just be just balls to the wall, just hardcore training and just beating your body up. Sometimes you got to be able to just break loose and have fun. And, last weekend we sent AJ off to go play indie ball in California, and we just created a game, baseball, goofy golf basically. And we set up obstacles all through the facility and, had some kids over and just played, had fun. That's the fun stuff of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how you get people to come, and that's how you get people to see the facility, and then they're like, man, there's some really awesome batting cages here and that kind of thing, and then they become members. So before we get into our discussion, I wanted to get some of this stuff, and we'll do it again at the end. But talk about like membership stuff and like that, and how do we become members, and how do we come visit? Can you do it without being a member? Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so it's not like exclusive to anybody. This is literally for everyone. We've got walk-in availabilities, like somebody can walk in off the street, rent a cage. We can do demos for a first timer. If you want to do a membership right now, we've got kind of a bare bones membership plan where you basically get access to the facility any day you want to during business hours when we're open. You can come and hit every day if you want to, which obviously we encourage, because that's what we preach and teach, is that this is supposed to be a habit, a routine, and like what you guys were saying a minute ago, a daily schedule that you work into your life. And it's not just about baseball or softball; it's about creating a routine for yourself and understanding that it carries like that through the rest of your life. And that's kind of what the membership program is about: is learning how to train, not so much about what you're actually training, but realizing that it's a daily grind, that you come in and work on your own, and that you have to set yourself up for success, that nobody's going to do it for you. And with our membership stuff, that gives you access, and we've got the place and all the tools and equipment that you can use, and we can tell you some information to help you prepare yourself. But that is for you to come in and do your work and do your job as an athlete to prepare yourself. We are looking to add some stuff to our membership program, which is, the classes that I kind of mentioned and some other stuff that I feel like is going to be really beneficial to the athletes and the parents, that I'm really, really excited about being able to roll that out. And it's been a long process trying to get all the wrinkles ironed out of that program. And I think we're pretty close on getting that figured out.
Awesome, man. That's great. It's we've got back 42 in Sumrall, and this is really awesome for that Petal area. I know there are several very competitive teams out there in that area, and this is really cool for them to be able to use and access and have the training. And you got some good trainers out there, baseball and softball. And so really excited about that. That's really cool. I know Chance is excited about it too. He actually got up this morning and drove out there. So that's how you know his level of excitement.
We got him out of bed.
No.
He got biscuits and coffee and everything.
That's
man.
right.
He's excited.
I'm excited about this morning. I love these morning things. So we just got to get where you're available. I'm always available in the mornings. People don't understand. They just think that I sleep to 2 and start lessons at 3, but that's not the case. I do like my mornings.
They don't get it. We work nighttime jobs, and a lot of people feel like, oh, well, you're here, from 3 to 9 at night. And I'm like, no, I'm here from like 7 in the morning till 9 at night or 11 at night.
Yeah, I took a phone call while I was here. Most of the time I'm on the phone. That's why I'm able to kind of do what I do from Starkville. And but it's this time of year, it's people calling about tryouts and maybe possibilities of what's coming, what's going on this summer. But yeah, Josh hit the nail on the head, kind of what I wanted to talk about, man. Just kids having opportunities and kind of getting a game plan where whether you're here in Petal, you've got a facility now. I'm texting Bourne right now. Summerall's got a facility. Hattiesburg's got a facility. It doesn't matter. If you don't have access to those places, you got a rec ball field. Now Josh probably don't let me say that. He'd much rather you come in here and become a member. But and this is super nice. We're going to show you in a little bit. But We just want kids to understand that there's something to do, and I'm just
Thanks,
I,
Matt.
I'm
Matt Butler says it's a great place.
yeah.
Yeah. Matt
Uh,
Butler's one of my pitching guys.
Yeah, and that and it brings in instructors and some great resources for kids to get better. And I push for every age level. If a parent calls me, hey, what do we need to do? And I'll just say, hey, get a game plan, create a routine, and don't let them get out of it. But
That's it.
my opinion that they get done with this baseball thing. They're going to have jobs and they're going to have families and stuff. And at the end of the day, we're not all creating MLB players or even college players. We're creating husbands and employees. So taking the summer off is not realistic. Even though they're in school, and I do feel sorry for them for having to work hard 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day in the classroom. But summertime you still can go to whatever kind of camps, go to a lake camp or go on vacation, go to vacation Bible school, do some church camps. There's all kind. You do all that stuff, but there's several days during this 8 weeks that you're off that you're doing nothing, kid. And so and parents too, because I think the parents, they feel like, all right, well, it's summertime, we're going to take off. Well, if you take off, somebody else is not taking off.
That's
You're
right.
going to show up in the fall and be like, well, I need to catch up now, buddy.
It's too late at that point.
Yes, it every year it could get too late. I had a coach used to tell me, you take today off, even if you double up tomorrow, you're not going to catch up.
That's right.
You should be doubling up when you do it.
Yeah. So, Chancy, that leads me kind of where I want to ask it. You talk about having a routine during the summer, having, not taking off, not stopping, that kind of thing. A couple of questions that kind of come to my mind is, one, is there a time after your last tournament that you do take a little break, or do you just roll right into training? And then number two, what does a routine look like? So what should people, moms, dads out there that don't know, what should that routine look like? I mean, should it be 30 minutes a day? Should it be 4 hours a day? Should it be with a trainer? Should it be out in the yard? Just kind of what that looks like for folks.
Yeah, so after a tournament, like your season's done. Well, of course, we got tryouts coming up, and there's going to be an episode for that. But you have to know that. Like, I've got tryouts coming up. I plan to go to multiple ones or whatever. You have to be prepared for that. So you shouldn't shut down then. I just literally got a phone call right before this podcast, and about a kid that's wanting to come try out and wanted to come try out early because he was taking off after the 1st of June. Well, taking a break is huge, and we're gonna get Perry Turner and some of these guys that do arm care, and they're gonna, everybody's got their own opinion about the taking off with the arm, but you have to know when you're going to start back. So like for us, so our program, we start back in September. So we pretty much do our tryouts mid-July, and we'll take off all the way to September. So there's your 6 week off, and then we'll go to November, mid-November, we'll take off another 6 weeks. So that's kind of our 3 months in a sense. And and that's, a lot of people say there needs to be 3 months in the year you're off somehow. And so that's our 3 months, because there is a fall season. But as far as creating the routine with that, again, knowing what you have coming up. Some kids do all-stars, so they're continuing playing. Some just play more than others. You have tryouts. You have, big World Series maybe in July or something. Whatever your timeline is, you might be doing stuff in between that. So just like us, our kids are getting out of schools, but we got a couple more tournaments left. Well, that don't mean they're going to stay on the same routine that they are. Like, they're in summer, so I don't mind our guys saying, like, if you say, hey, I'm going to start taking Jackson over here because Josh has got this performance thing he's doing. No, go ahead and start. It's fine. If Jackson's a little slow on a Saturday, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, because he's worked out or whatever on Friday, I don't care. He's doing something. You know what I mean? I'm not really worried about Jackson this year. I'm worried about Jackson when he gets to junior high and high school, and he's already creating a routine, and he himself expects to be doing something instead of taking off, you know, during the summer. And I do like I've done DAPS, which is Defenders Academy Performance Series. Josh was talking about making it fun. I created this thing, and it's been called several different things 10 years ago, just because I didn't do camps anymore. So I've done like a series. It's the most ridiculous thing I ever do. Like, we do crazy stuff at DAPS, but they take ground balls, they catch fly balls, they do speed and agility, but it's not so like structured. It's a chaotic mess, but the kids are wore out. Some of them quit because they can't handle it, but some of them love it. I mean, I'll have 30, 40 kids sign up every year. It's a chaotic mess, but it's fun for the ones that like it. Now, some don't like to sweat, just to be honest. Some just they don't like the work part. And, you know, I'm going to say good luck to them, because, you know, it's going to be hard to find a job if you don't like to sweat. You know, so yeah, just having something, you know, having like, all right, I'm going to do this, and kind of knowing like, all right, what's my weaknesses? I'm gonna work on dadgummit. I'm gonna work on hitting curveballs, and that's their thing. And you don't have to go to an instructor to do that. You can do that at a facility. You know, that's my spiel.
Gotcha. So now then, kind of what should that routine look like? So are we throwing? Are we? And Josh, you chime in whenever. Are we throwing every day? Are we hitting every day? What are we doing as far as off-season training and routines?
Well, Josh, you can hop in.
I am getting a little feedback too. I think it's coming from Josh's mic, but I'm not positive.
I'm not really sure how.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's not terrible. It's fine. There is a little feedback.
Yeah. I was hearing something too, and it could just be a delay. But he's got his door shut, so I don't think he's hearing me.
Yeah. Still the same.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Man, I kind of like throwing and hitting every day. Now, when I say throwing every day, I don't mean getting on a mound and throwing max intensity every single day. I think, you know, mixing that up and doing it properly is the way to do it. But, you know, kids going out and not doing any throwing and then going and hammering it hard on tournament weekend and stuff like that, that's where the injuries happen. Because they go out and they throw 200 pitches or 250 pitches in a weekend, and they didn't prepare their arm for that all the months leading up into that. You know, hitting. Yes, there are some injuries that can come from overuse in hitting or whatever, but that's like few and far between. And I think that's something that should be done pretty much every single day. And you can do that to create your muscle memory, and that's where you create the habits. That way you don't have to worry about anything in the game, so you can go into the batter's box with a very clear mind and not think about a single mechanic, and then just think about the damage that you can do in there. That way you go in with confidence, and there is no worry or cloud in your mind at all. And the only way to do that is with the reps and the confidence that come with those proper reps that you get from doing them every single day with a routine.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree. And he said something that, you know, this is just my thing, and I fuss about a lot is, you know, people blame travel ball for kids overthrowing, but it's usually not the overthrowing, it's the underthrowing. They don't throw enough. And yeah, the idiot coaches that, you know, throw them 150, 200 pitches on a weekend to win a tournament, you know, is just the added blame at the end. But if a kid's prepared, and I see it more like on the high school level, I hammer these high school kids. It's like, you got to be kidding me. You didn't throw a midweek bullpen? Like, what are we doing? Like, how you know you're going to Hoover, and you didn't throw a bullpen to prepare for this tournament? Like, what? So yeah, it's almost like I blame myself or blame, you know, whoever. is around them, because like, how do you not know to prepare? So I have to be conscious of like, hey, yeah, look, here's the deal. Like with the young ones, here's the deal, guys. Staying consistent on the throwing side, and on the hitting side. I mean, just like Josh said, you got. I went to a conference in ABCA and I was listening to Texas A&M's hitting coach. Who you know, if you're not following Texas A&M, they're pretty daggone good this year. His like behind his thing said, hitters that hit often. Hit off. Yeah, I mean, and it was like, yeah, absolutely. You got to hit, bro, and you got to throw bullpens. You got to be prepared to do whatever you got to do, and that's talking about tournaments in the summer. You know, the high school guys, they pretty much play all summer, 5 or 6 tournaments, and you know, after their high school season. But a lot of these kids, especially 9th and 10th graders, that might not be getting the varsity time, and you know, they're just sitting there in the dugout watching their team kind of go through the playoffs or get put out of the playoffs. And then they just, Mom, Dad, when's our first tournament? June 1st. And they don't prepare for it. And they show up, you know, and I throw them out there on the mound like, all right, this kid was pretty good at tryouts. Can't throw a strike, you know, not repeating itself, all kind of stuff. And then you see it in the batter's box, kids not hitting. I'm like, have you been hitting? A little bit. It's like, bro, you're not prepared. Like you're not prepared for this at all. So I mean, when a coach calls me in a few years, I'm gonna say, look, he didn't know what he was doing when he was in 10th grade.
We've seen that a lot of athletes don't understand the value of being able to repeat mechanics, whether they're good mechanics or bad mechanics. Understanding the necessity to being able to repeat mechanics, because if you can repeat the mechanics, then you can learn the correct mechanics and repeat those mechanics. And the only way you can repeat mechanics intentionally is by doing it a lot. And we play some games here at the facility, some hitting games, and some of our guys that do specific, you know, repetitious work are very good at those games. And they play some boys that are older than them. And it's so funny. So that these older boys, they get so frustrated competing with these younger boys, or even against some of us older coaches that do these repetitious reps. And they're like, how are y'all so good at some of these games? And we're like, because we do this stuff very consistently, and we work on a routine, and we learn how to control things that are necessary to control to train properly.
No doubt. You want to grab this question?
Yeah. So Jeremy coaches the motivators. There's a couple of motivators teams around in Hattiesburg, 11U and a 12U team. We filled in with him some and played with him some. But Jeremy wants to know y'all's opinions on off-season band work and long toss for pitchers. Said he's a believer, but he would love to hear your opinions.
So I'll go ahead and throw mine. So Jeremy, I think band work. I think every kid should have a daily routine of band work.
Yes.
Bands aren't going to hurt you. You know, man, I've gotten way more into like understanding flexibility and preparing to do something that day through Traction and Perry Turner over there at Traction. And I texted him the other day about getting on the podcast. I was like, bro, I bring you up more than anybody. I've got to get you on here so I can put a face with it. But it was funny because Jake Harris went to the Braves and Cubs game the other day. Remember what he said? Was you out there when I said how'd it go, or I said what'd you learn? He said they take a long time to get ready to play. I said they stretch a lot. He said, man, like an hour before. I said, yeah, it's a big deal. And you know, a lot of people look at like young kids and say, oh, you know, they're not going to pull anything. You know, they're too young. They're not developed to worry about damaging themselves. And in my opinion, it ain't about damaging yourself. It's preparing their body to do something that your body don't want to do. So like bad mechanics to me is like stretching would help a lot of it. You know, a lot of times bad mechanics come from their body not being able to do it. You know, me and Charlie's son Jackson talk about it on his swing. Like he's on a growing phase. I'm like, dude, you should go out there and like stretch it out, make yourself feel yourself get extension and hold it there, let it burn, you know, and then go back in and try to do it. You know, I was like, that kind of stuff is important. So bands, man, I think they need there's all kind of things they can do with bands. First of all, you know, they could have a pre-pitch or pre-throw routine. They could have a post one. And then they could have it in between. You know, as far as the long tossing goes, a lot of people have different opinions. We long toss in the fall as we're building our arm, and slowly get into like long toss starting in September. And that's for our youth. I think, as they get older, the time table and it's a different schedule for as what they're doing with school ball. I know school ball will be doing long toss in the fall as well. So I think it's just that's more of a per kid, like per situation. Some kids long toss before they pitch. So and big leaguers do that. Like some don't do that, and some do that. I think it's more of a personal preference and what your arm needs. Some we talked about the other day. Had Mitch, Mike's son, kind of the team had to run before practice, and and Mitch has got a really strong arm. Don't get me wrong, but he ran, and I mean, and that running got him a little bit, but he was probably the most accurate I've ever seen him, like in the field. After all that running and sweating and breaking down his body, I told him, I said, dude, I'm gonna make you run a couple poles before the next time you pitch, because I'm talking about it. He was so on the money, man. I was like, holy crap, dude. I was like, this might be something, because some players feed off their endorphins and stuff, where that running produces that acid and just gets them going. And maybe it's a mental thing too. I don't know. I'm not a specialist in that, but that's my opinion.
There was something to that. I mean, it was effective. That there's no lie. He was really throwing, and I don't know if it was related to the running or not, but that definitely was the kind of the difference in practice that day was they ran before. So maybe there's something to that too. But thanks, Jeremy, for the question, man. We appreciate that. And Josh, do you have opinions on that? The band,
I mean,
the long toss.
The band work, I agree, man. That should be a daily thing, and especially for the youth, I don't think it should just be band work. They need to be doing forearm and elbow stuff, honestly, as much or more than band work, because what we see is more issues with elbows in the younger boys than shoulder problems. Those are the smaller tendons, and that's where the muscles start growing bigger first, and that's where the most stress is at early. And they don't stop throwing once that stress starts coming in, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And if they don't start strengthening those early, they can avoid that pain by stretching properly and strengthening the tendons in the elbow with a daily routine. And it doesn't take 5-10 minutes. Like you can do an entire band routine and forearm elbow routine in 10 minutes every day with no problem, and that's pretty good arm care. As far as the long toss stuff, I don't say that we believe the long toss stuff is for arm strength type stuff. We think and feel that, or I feel that it's more for a body sequencing type thing. We had a high schooler in here the other night, and he's working on his pitching. We had him on the mound, and we said, I tell you what, we just want you to step off the mound and just give us a really solid crow hop into this net, like you're long tossing, 180, 200 feet, something like that. And we videoed the difference of his arm slot, the path, his body motion and everything. And there was a massive difference between his pitching delivery and his, what his body wanted to actually sequence naturally. So we put him on the mound and said, okay, now we want you to do like a crow hop coming through the mound and work down the mound that way. His foot strike was a different place. Like everything cleaned up tremendously when we took the pitching mind out of it and just let the body sequence naturally. So I think a lot of guys can use that, long toss stuff in their, pre-pitch warm-up stuff, as long as they understand that there's a specific purpose behind it and what that purpose should be for them.
No doubt. I think you nailed it, Josh, there. As far as on the long toss and making them understand their body, and which is it's such a common practice these days with drive line and some other pitching performance national brands. When I was in St. Louis, we got to work aside P3 and Ace Performance. Y'all go look them up. They're on Instagram and stuff. But Ace was Adam Jansen, and he was a big control guy and video guy. Like you talked about video and that kid, he'd make a kid understand and feel what it feels like with those crow hop throws, pull downs. You know, some of you people that know those what they call pull downs, but they learn to do that on the mound and feel what it feels like. I do the same thing with hitters. When kids don't like they don't, you know, they kind of look passive, you know, like a finesse swing. I'll make them do the Happy Gilmore, and I won't just do it off a tee. I'll flip a ball and make them shuffle to that ball and like go get aggressive to learn to show them like you're faster than what you're going. Go faster. Go faster. You know, and so
my son is one of those. So I'm learning how to teach that, you know, and understanding that mentality in a youth athlete as well.
Dude, I've done all kind of stuff. I've taken like one of those Dollar General dodge balls and like thrown it up in the cage and like no mechanics, don't worry about nothing. I want you to go try to bust that ball as it's bouncing. Show me some intent, like that thing is going to blow this building. It's a bomb. You got to go kill it. Like make a video game, like they're playing Fortnite or something, you know, like go and do it and let them find that like internal aggressiveness, you know, with like, what can my body do? And it's kind of cool to see to find drills like that to bring it out. And yes, you're right. Like doing a crow hop gives that.
I want to comment on that just a little bit. So I've got an only child, and I've not coached baseball until I started coaching my son. Obviously, I played baseball and I love baseball. Got out of it after I got hurt and all this stuff, you know. And my son got into it. I got back into it, found passion for it, and again, and you know, found love for the community for it and all that kind of stuff. One thing that I will say that I learned, I like to study. I love to learn. I like to look at people that have done this, you know, years ahead of me and learn from those guys and learn from their mistakes and listen. And one thing that, you know, when my son was younger, I told myself, I'm gonna preach and teach mechanics and just drive mechanics into him. And as long as he's got good mechanics, you know, we can work the power in later and the speed in later and this stuff and all that. And one thing that some of the higher guys were telling me when he was younger and when I was a younger dad coach was, hey man, don't push too hard on mechanics. Let him go be athletic. Let him just go hard and fail and you know, dive for this and jump really far and, you know, just like what you were saying, be aggressive, try to bust that ball and explode it and not be so, you know, controlled at a younger age. Because I think what that does is when you try to rein it in and be so mechanical and methodical at the young ages, it creates that slow, you know, the mindset, like you were saying, of not being so aggressive with their swings or with their throws and dives and that kind of stuff. And that creates a mindset that, you know, then you have to train them out of.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. Shoot. I've changed as an instructor because of that. I was like you. I first came in and like, you know, in my mind, I've got all this knowledge about baseball. I was, you know, raised in a household of baseball coach that had a lot of knowledge and that done lessons also as an instructor. And you know, I felt like I had something to give, and I still do, but I've changed my approach on that where I'm not so mechanical with it. Like I don't care where their hands start as much. I don't care where they finish as much. You know, there's some common components that need to happen, and most of the time it's understanding what their legs are doing. And I'm gonna kind of make a circle right here because you was talking about arm care and doing the forearm and stuff. You know, a lot of kids that come in for hitting lessons, their legs can't handle centering up and balancing throughout a whole swing. That's why you see their feet are so bad, like their front side comes out or they don't finish their swing. They don't finish their swing because their legs are not stable. They're not grounded. You know, a lot of instructors talk about staying grounded and stuff, but it's most of the time because they can't do it. Here's my opinion, and it goes back into the arm care, the arm strength. We talked about it earlier with a kid throwing hay bales and watermelons, and these country strong kids. They're like you see some of them, and they're able to do this stuff, and they've never been trained, but they're physically able to do it because they're consistently doing something physical, climbing trees. So me and Perry Turner have had long conversations. She even told Jake this. They already knew what he said. Your elbows hurt because your shoulders are weak. Their shoulders are weak. Ask them. Ask your kid if he's played on a monkey bars at school. No, I promise you, they ain't climbing no trees. It's not. It's not a thing. It's very common for us to climb trees when we're little. And I want you to think about this. And I sound like a crazy person.
No, I get it. I agree.
Pulling their stuff up, getting in weird positions, having to use these shoulders. Kids do not do anymore. Like it's completely almost eliminated. So yeah, here we have a facility. We have performance instructors. We got, you got to pay for it now. But kids also need to know that. Like we've got all this knowledge now that these doctors and stuff are saying this. It's not really from us overthrowing them. It's them not being prepared to throw. And so their bodies aren't strong enough. So that's why you have all these growth plate fractures. Like when it was coming up, I've never heard that in my life. Like, what are they talking about? A growth plate fracture. Now, every kid in America has had a growth plate fracture. If it's in their foot or in their shoulder and their elbow, it's just a thing now, and that's my opinion. When they start growing, they're not doing anything physical outside of like throwing a baseball or whatever they're doing to help the muscles strengthen around those joints that are separating. So I'm not a doctor. I'm sure somebody's gonna get on here and say, "You're an idiot, bro. This is what you need to do." I'm just telling you what I see. Kids are not as strong during these growing times, in my opinion, because they are not doing this kind of stuff. Now, I grew up in a very rural area where hauling hay, hauling watermelons, doing physical stuff like that was very common. Like that's how you made canteen money and stuff. And I know I sound like I'm 60 years old, but no, I mean,
Canteen
but that's just
money.
Whatever what we call it, like at recess. I picked up pecans and stuff and carrying those pecan buckets. Good, I got $5 a bucket. I know I sound 60, but I promise you that's what we did. 30 years ago. And
did you go down the road and give Curtis Lowe your candy money and let him play you a song?
No, we carry those pecans, and I didn't grow up on a watermelon farm, but man, so many people around us, it was so common. Like, especially when we got to junior high and high school, like you got paid, like $50 to load a trailer of watermelons. It was a big deal, and it was just so common. It was very, very useful in the baseball world. To me, throwing a hay bale, throwing a watermelon, if you've never done it, it's pretty much you're throwing med balls.
Yeah, I was going to say it's pretty much a big green stripe med ball.
Yeah.
So I want to ask this because we've gone through the routine, we've gone through the training, that kind of thing. I want to go into camps. So this time of year, summertime, everybody and their brother has got a camp. High schools have them. It's a great way to raise money. It's a good fundraiser. What should people, well, first of all, importance of camps, what camps do for you, and then what should people be looking for in the camps they choose to send their kids to? Because some of them can be pretty expensive.
Josh, you want to start on that?
Yeah, sure. I'll hit it first. First off, I will say that I generally give a pretty unfiltered opinion on almost everything I say. Camps for me, as long as the expectations are very upfront with what that camp is going to be for, I think are cool. You have two different kind of camps, in my opinion. You have camps that are very specific and kind of hit back on what Charlie was just saying. Some are expensive. Those camps, in my opinion, are specifically for development, and the people that are coming to those camps need to understand that this is probably not going to be playtime. We may not have a water slide at the end of this camp. We may not get popsicles and that kind of stuff, but this is going to be hardcore development. I'm coming away with this with real information that they are intending on me taking home and working on daily. that I want to improve on and take seriously. You have camps that are, more for entertainment value, but still have baseball knowledge taught at, that parents are looking at as, hey, I want my kids to go have fun and still learn something in a good atmosphere around good people with their friends during the summertime, where I can, go hit up Target for a few hours, or me and the wife can go, have a day or an evening together or something like that. As long as the expectations are up front for what that camp is intended for, and there are no mixed people in those camps, one expecting development in the fun camp and the fun camp person expecting, the other way. That's my biggest thing personally on those camps. And my son's been in camps. I went to camps when I was younger, so I have a personal opinion on those camps from when I played and how I received information in those camps and that kind of stuff. And like I said, there are definitely different kinds of camps, as long as the parents are very understanding of what they're actually signing up for, and open communication there is the biggest key, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And you hit it. I mean, I've done camps. I went to South Alabama camps when I was little, and I don't really remember the baseball part. I remember the slip and slides and the popsicles, and it becomes almost like a babysitter, or we talked about it earlier, and those are their fun camps. Now, don't get me wrong, I look forward to it every year, and I'm sure, like my 5-year-old, it doesn't matter. We'll go to a Mississippi State camp, I'm sure, this summer, and he's going to love it. And there's not going to be much instructional. Like he's going to, like, it's going to change his life. And I think a lot of parents think that, like, oh, we're signed up for this camp. Mm-hmm. He's going to come back the best baseball player in the area because he went to this camp. And that's not the case. You have to be realistic. Most of these, like, school camps or whatever, even a high school camp, it is to raise money, guys, and some put on better ones than others. We used to do a camp when I was working with 59. It done well for a little bit, but it was named the wrong thing. For one thing, it was an organization, and the numbers kept going down. Is because we gave them a T-shirt. Well, it said 59 baseball, which is a team. You're not going to get the kids that play against that team because they're not going to wear that T-shirt to school. Half of it's the T-shirt they get maybe, and so it's little stuff like that. Like the camps are fun. We done a state camp in the fall as a father-son one. I know all you non-state fans out there cringe at me, but I'm sure Ole Miss does one too, Charlie. But okay, well, it's super fun, and especially for the younger one. Well, I say that I think the older ones had fun too. They got to see the facilities. They're not going to learn a whole lot, but like for my 5-year-old, man, he was around other 5-year-olds that thought baseball were cool. So that's to me, that's a valuable thing to receive, and it was fun for me to watch, to see him excited, where he loves baseball. Don't get me wrong, and most people have ever been around him is like, oh man, he loves it. But for him to be in an atmosphere to be able to love it, it's kind of like I love Jesus, but I get to go to church, and that's what Vacation Bible School is, fun, so it brings it out. So that's the kind of the fun thing. I don't think you're going to get instruction that's going to change a kid's life, but the passion might do it with the camps.
Yeah.
As far as like, and again, I think this is all like individual, what a kid needs. A kid might need more of that, or a kid might need more of, me or Spike or somebody just really hammering on him all summer with a one-on-one lesson. Like, all right, we're going to spend, instead of spending $200 on a camp, we're going to take the $200 and we're going to spread out some lessons across the summer. And along with those lessons, he's going to hit two other days a week on his own. Because that's what I'm going to tell my lessons. Like, look, it's summertime, buddy. Like, I enjoy hitting with you. I don't want to see you every week. I want to see you every other week this summer. And the rest of the time, I want you hitting, and you come back and tell me what you suck at, and what you having a hard time getting better at. And then I'll give you a drill or whatever. I'll do my thing. You go do your thing so I can help you. Because if not, the realistic fact is, none of us as instructors are going to get kids better unless they have that desire to get better. So to me, that's where you go and do it. Like a kid sitting on a tee in this facility by himself, trying to figure out why he can't, hit a backspin ball up the middle and it with it rising. like let him figure that out. And going back to just being athletic, sometimes like I can look at a kid like I know why you're hooking the ball every single time. You're getting around the ball. I'm watching him swing. And I can tell him mechanically how to fix that. All right, we're going to stay inside the ball and all the stuff. Still can't do it. So I'll just back up and say, hey, bro, I'm going to say nothing. I want you to do whatever you got to do to hit that ball with metal. Just do it. So they'll try all kinds of stuff. Once they do it, they'll do it. What'd you do? And then sometimes they can't tell you. And then that's where you can come in and say, all right, this is what you did, bro. So, yeah, it took you all that. You didn't understand what I'm saying, but now you do because you just physically done it, and they have to figure that out on their own. So that's why I'm big about them going to do stuff like that. Like, when a parent calls me and says, hey, he just got back from this camp and he didn't do so good. So was this a tryout? What is this? So yeah, camps to me should be like, it shouldn't be so serious and like I don't know. Some people take camps and what they not are, and so I think I want parents to have an open mind with that and understand what camps are and move on from that as well. Like go do them, but let's move on from that and let's go look at what we can actually get better at. From that.
Yeah, you go ahead, Josh.
The short answer of it, everybody wants the get rich quick scheme or the get skinny fast scheme. Get better at softball cheap and fast, or get better at softball cheap and fast, and they feel sometimes that camps is the way. There is no way around the daily grind. Period. That's the short answer of it. Is the daily grind is where you're going to get better. You go get your information from your lessons. And yes, you can get information from camps, but the daily grind of you putting that routine in, day out, consistently, and learning from that, and like what Chancy was saying, of creating your own routine, figuring out your body and understanding that you have to realize where you're making mistakes and then figure out how to correct them on your own. It can't be somebody just handing you a list of here's your mistakes, here's how to correct them, giving you the answers to the test every time, because at some point that person's not going to be there for you and you won't have the answers. So you have to be able to figure them out yourself. And the sooner you can accept and understand that, the better off you're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chancy, you hit it. And this is what I've learned because I didn't play baseball. Obviously we've talked about it. I played football. And so this is what I've kind of learned through Jackson coming up and that kind of thing. And Mike and I have had this conversation several times. I've had to learn that camps should be more about the experience. You mentioned the T-shirt. Jackson loves to go to the USM camps. And when we leave the USM camp, I'll say, what'd you learn today? And he's like, well, it was all the same stuff I already know. It's the same stuff Coach Chancy's taught me. Coach Mike's taught me. He said, but it was fun. And they got to go on, they practiced on USM's field and they got the USM shirts and they do all that stuff. And so I've learned over the years that it's not so much about what they learn at that camp. They do get some reps and they do some cool stuff. They play home run derby and all that stuff. But I think it's more about the experience. It's one of those things where, did you have a good time? Was it cool to be a USM's field? Was it cool to go in their locker room? That kind of stuff, and less about what did you actually learn at this camp. So I've had to learn that on my own, or learn that through time. And like I said, Mike and I have talked about it, because when you go to those camps, especially that USM camp that we do, it's kids from 4 years old to 17 years old. And those 15, 16, 17-year-olds aren't getting a whole lot out of it. They're not getting as much out of it as those 5-year-olds, those 6-year-olds, like you talked about with Nolan. I mean, this is cool, and for those guys, it's like, well, I played on this field, right? So, there's a difference, and I guess the expectation should be different, but really those camps are about the experience, especially too, when you go to a high school camp. If it's that kid's high school, the school they're going to go to, well, the best part about that, they're not learning anything from those 17-year-old players that are out there coaching them. The best part about that is they're playing on the field that they hope to play on in 5-6 years, and so the experience is I know I keep saying it, but I keep thinking of examples. The experience is really what that's all about.
I think we just get like there's a separation and we get the misconception there. And I think the separation is between what the kids feel and what the parents feel. I think the parents are looking at, I'm spending this much money and I want you to get this much better, for this much money and time.
Right.
Where the kids are like, I want to go hang out with my boys and go do this baseball fun stuff, And they can get better in that. But I think the parents have so much hanging over their heads and the athletes' heads going into these camps that, they are the ones that create that, tense situation of what to expect out of the kids in those camps.
No doubt.
Yeah, if you think about it this way, you're going to spend that same amount of money to take that kid to the zoo, right? And going to the zoo is not about getting better at zooing. Going to the zoo is about, it's about having that experience and leaving and saying that was cool and getting the T-shirt and all that stuff, getting the pictures. Well, if you think about a camp as that same experience, except maybe they may or may not learn something, doesn't matter. But it's the experience. It's just like the zoo. It's just like the aquarium. You're going to spend that same $100 to go to the zoo and have a day at the zoo. When if your kid loves baseball and your kid's got, it's always fun to go to camp with friends too. Like if you know some people that are going and you get to have that experience, not at the zoo, but at the USM baseball field or the Mississippi State baseball field or Ole Miss baseball field. It's the same deal. You just have to, it's all about how you think of it. And like I said, I've had to learn that because when I was sending Jackson to camps at 6, 7 years old, I'm like, gosh, he better come back better. But about the fun, the experience, and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love it, and that's what makes this podcast cool. And having Charlie on here, and Charlie's very realistic and is a dad and easy to admit stuff like that. And I think it's important for all the parents out there to kind of like step back and say that. It's a great analogy of that because, man, so many think that, and so many think that would just like, hey, showing up for one lesson, that I'm gonna change their life, like they're gonna walk away, I do hope I change the kid's life, not just, physically, mechanically, whatever, success, at their next game or whatever, but for the rest of their life, like they're able to fix this problem. That's my ultimate goal. And I've learned that as an instructor too. And I try to make sure that the kids understand that, that it's not about us doing lessons right now. It's about what you're going to be able to take from it and adjust as you get older. And so that's kind of two different topics, but the same thing. The expectations of parents when they spend money, because that's what I was thinking when Josh nailed it right there, talking about the parents think they should get this much, however much they're spending, they should get that value out of the camp, as far as instruction or whatever it may be, and the kids should get that much better. But that's not the thing. Like me and you talked about money as soon as we walked in today, and parents spending money and how that's the thing. And my Starkville people are asking me that now that I've announced that we're having tryouts up there, and a lot of them aren't used to spending money on baseball. They're able to just show up to the rec field. There's a lot of former player dads up there and all the stuff. And like I told Josh earlier, I said, parents learn to sacrifice other things because this is what their kid likes. If you have a daughter that wants to be a cheerleader, you're not going to go in the backyard and teach her how to do a back handspring. So you have to go and pay, go look at their prices. Go join, go put your daughter in gymnastics to see how much that costs. It's very expensive. And so, but people do it all the time, but they make sacrifices of what they're spending, their budgets or whatever. And so, when I was in St. Louis, I had a lot of rich people and I had a lot of normal people, that had normal jobs, what I would say, and even low budget jobs, and they made it work. There's ways to make it work. I mean, with baseball, you got fundraising, you've got, crap as your kid gets older, make his butt go mow some yards or something, do something that help you counter this. Cause it is, it has become expensive, but everything has become expensive. And we want the kids to be able to do it and experience it. And you just got to make sacrifices. It's just part of it. And, we don't want money to be the factor, but none of this works without the money. And we can roll into the facility saying about money after this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that leads me. So we've had this great discussion about all of this off-season training. I think we've hit all the topics. You guys want to? We've got a few minutes left. Y'all want to kind of show around and go through that?
I'm going to unplug here and see if I can get us. I'm probably not hearing me.
I'm gonna come out there. I'm gonna come out there with you, I guess.
Can you hear me?
So I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
So for the audio folks, if you're listening on in podcast form, this may be a good time for you to sign off, or you can stick around and you can listen to this portion of it. But yeah, so we're going to walk through and just kind of see what's going on out here at Top Level Sports.
Or a good time to go look up Top Level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So also I'm going to share on our Facebook page, you Facebook guys, I'm going to share our mine and Nolan's camp this fall, just because we was talking about camps and stuff. That we highly enjoyed. I've done a YouTube video of it, and you kind of see the fun we were having, and I'm kind of going to try to start doing stuff like that, like sharing what we're doing. I mean, a lot of times I video and make little edited videos, and I like putting them to use, and other people can actually check it out. All right, so Josh here with me. Hey, he's taller than me, so let's see.
That's magic. That's magic. You guys were just in two different places, and now you're together. It's amazing.
I'm gonna let him kind of be the tour guide, and I'll be the cameraman. So I'm gonna back it up.
So I mean, it's not a massive place. We've got 5 cages here. One we got full length. Unfortunately, the property width here restricted how wide I could make the building, and I couldn't do as wide as I would have liked to have several full length cages to have a large walkway here. We've got one machine now. I'm looking to add some other machines to add some cages here with some extra pitching machines, because that seems to be something that everybody requests. Nobody loves the tee. Fall in love with the tee. Everybody, fall in love with the tee, please. We probably take 85% of our swings off of the tee.
So what is this?
So that is a remote to the pitching machine.
Oh, cool.
The ball feeder.
Yeah.
You can just turn the machine on and sit back here, turn the ball feeder on and off. Then we've got storage, water bags and equipment here and all that kind of stuff. And, all of these cages do pull back, the dividers do, so this can open up into one large area.
Josh, what was the thought process in doing, or was there a thought process in doing the dark colored turf rather than like green or something?
Man, I wanted to be different with it. I love dark colors and edgy lines. That's kind of my thing. But I hate batters having to worry about glares and light colors and all that kind of stuff. So pretty much everything in here is a batter's eye, basically. Like the wall color, there's nothing in here that's going to stand out and make a ball like shine or look different. So all the dark colors were kind of planned for a reason like that. And honestly, the black turf doesn't get as dirty as I expected. But I kind of like it. It's just something different. I didn't want it to look.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, that was why I was asking, because I mean, it does look good. You just don't see that very often. So, but I like the thought behind it.
Since Josh has opened his, I've seen several. I'm gonna say copy him.
Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say that they copied, but I will say that after I started getting mine in and all that kind of stuff, I started seeing all of them on Instagram, having black turf. I'm like, man, I feel like a copycat now. I've seen all of them.
I mean, it's not any local ones. Like I've seen it just outside of here.
And then we got 2 full-length bullpens up here, 9 holes at the end. Pitching distance is marked on the wall. I'm super like OCD, and I love labels and everything to be organized and clean. So everything's labeled, and it does seem low right here.
Have you had some big guys?
Yeah, and when you think about it, when you get up on a mound, your highest point is when you're standing right here.
Yeah.
After this, everything is low beyond there. So It's kind of really scary. I bet when they like it's from high school. Every guy checks it out first. Yeah. Nobody's ever this actually was an afterthought. The bullpen area. We had a mistake on some plumbing that ended up causing us to lose a batting cage in it. So I had to regain the floor space, and I had to create a mezzanine for the bullpens. So yeah.
So Josh, you don't have. So do you have mounds, or do you do any pitching in the cages, or do you have cages specifically for hitting? And
we've got,
go ahead.
That very last cage, the full length cage. We do pitching in it. I've got a mound in it, and we'll do. That's generally the one we try to do our live hitting and pitching in.
Okay.
But what we normally do, if we've got like one pitching lesson going on up here, we'll move another pitching lesson downstairs if we've got a free cage to do it. That way we keep them separated. We don't have two people going together up here unnecessarily. Here's a great shot of the bullpens here. We was talking about bands earlier. You see the bands on the fence there. So we got a band sheet right there with all the workouts, plyo, ball workout on the back of it. Yeah. So some of you parents, let's see if I can do this. Yeah. I promise you can find that on any Google search. I mean, it's there. Get you a band and go to work this summer. Yep. And I would take us outside, but it is raining. It's raining hard.
Yeah, I heard the rain. It came through last night, and then I heard it just a few minutes ago. I could hear it hitting the roof here at the house.
Well, that's one good thing about having a facility. And, I was talking with Bourne. He was a little jealous that we didn't get the back 42 first, but understand that, every community, and it's become more common and common. I mean, when I was in St. Louis, man, it was one on every corner, and it's like, this is where you go. This is your baseball church, and take advantage of it. I mean, whether it's D-bat, back 42, we've got this in pedal. I mean, every pedal kid, in my opinion, should take advantage of this. And then, there's no reason it's raining outside today. They may be on half days or something at the end of the year. Crap, come in here and hit, book a cage. This thing ought to be full. Josh ought to be like making them sit on this. Also, I'll show you this. Here's your I'm waiting to hit bench right here. And just a heads up, we are amassing a collection of photos of people asleep on these couches here. If you get fall asleep, there will be a picture taken, and it will get posted at some point. I promise you. And I've got quite a few. So yeah.
So we'll do. So for Bourne, we'll do, because Anthony has done a ton for you and for us and for Bull and all that stuff. So we'll do just a spontaneous episode there at back 42, just to go through back 42 and show everybody.
Well, the thing is, we usually go on Wednesdays, and he practices on Wednesdays. So Bourne's, and he don't know I tell people this, but I talk about him all the time because of how much he's involved. But he's able to do more things than most people I know. He has.
He does so much stuff.
Oh my Lord, have mercy! And we'll get into it when we have him on here. But yeah, he's able to do a lot of stuff. But yeah, he's one of our coaches and super busy. Does a great job with the 12U team, and so yeah, our timing has been terrible. And then he was messing with me today. So I didn't know y'all was doing mornings. I said, well, me neither. And so I was like, well, we're going to do it again. But yeah, this is what we're about. Like, I mean, people look at us. This is not competition. We're a part of the baseball community family. Like, this is what we do. We're lucky to have these communities in the Pine Belt that love baseball, whether it's because of Southern Miss or Ole Miss or Mississippi State. I mean, we're lucky to have 3 colleges that have awesome fan bases in our state, and I think that's what creates communities like this. And also like Madison and Brandon and those areas in Jackson. And then it goes up to the Oxford and Starkville, which is smaller communities, but it's there. I'm watching it in Starkville. They're ate up with it. But one thing I know in Starkville, I can't say for Oxford, the structure is not there. There's not a facility in Starkville, but it's coming. It's our sponsor. I'm also going to send. I'll send you, Charlie. No, I'll post it. The slab got poured yesterday.
in Starkville. So it's officially up. It's going to be 14,000 square feet there at that facility there. So we're super excited. They've got the Iron Mike's coming. They got a big facility in Birmingham that shut down, and they're bringing their older Iron Mike's in. So they're going to be the old school come and pay and hit, and then they'll have regular cages like this. Man, I'm super excited to get going there. So, but that's just the example of it. Like, you got guys like Josh and Anthony. Josh and Anthony, the same thing. Like, I mean, he had kids, loved Summerall, wanted something, in Summerall where they had to drive all the way to Hattiesburg, go through the 98 traffic. And it's a local kind of smaller community place that, you can walk in there any day and there's high school kids in there hitting and preparing, and, still not enough. I always fuss, still not enough, but the ones that do, they're most of them are in that lineup at state championship.
Yeah. Well, we drive from Hattiesburg to Summerall to go to back 42, just because it's such a good deal price wise, and I mean we can stay there for 4 hours and work if we want to, and so it is super nice, and we'll have him on. But I do want to finish up as we wrap up. Josh, tell us how folks can find you. I know you're on Facebook, but social media, and then also how can they contact you?
They can get us on phone, 296-0445 is our phone number. Facebook is honestly the easiest way to get us. It's, like what you were saying with Anthony, I wear a lot of hats as well, so I have to have some help to, respond to customers. And I'm huge on customer service. That's like my dad kind of drilled that into me from a young age, and he's big on that as well. So I like to respond to customers as quickly as possible. And with this being a business that kind of operates in the evening times, all of our customers message, throughout the morning and that kind of stuff. And I don't like to make them wait. So, if they can message on Facebook or something like that, we've got, my wife helps there, and, she works up here as well. And, she communicates with customers a lot there. That's honestly the easiest way, because we can kind of give some instruction on, how to get signed up, and, post a list of, things that they need to do to get set up and ask them questions. And it's generally easier and more convenient for customers to do that rather than try to talk on the phone, because they ask a bunch of questions and we give them a bunch of answers that they can't remember, to go back and finish up.
Yeah.
So it's so much easier just to shoot us a message on Facebook. And, honestly, I fall prey to this. It'll be midnight and I'll be replying to customers, just because I'm awake and they message. So that's honestly the best way to get us is Facebook or Instagram if somebody has that way to reach out.
Awesome. That's Top Level Sports. Josh, I always ask everybody this as we kind of get ready to sign off, but you've got a kid that's the same age as mine. So you've got a youth, but what do you tell, or what would you tell kids now to focus on, or just some advice that you would give them as they go throughout their playing career?
I would say learn to control the controllables, like control your emotions. Understand that you're gonna fail. There was only one perfect person, and that's God and Jesus. That's outside of that, no one is perfect. You're gonna fail. Push yourself to failure. We as a coach should be driving our players to fail and not accept failure, but learn to come back from that failure and how to deal with that failure. I think a lot of kids these days really, really, really struggle with that aspect. And honestly, a lot of coaches also struggle with that aspect of learning how to let their kids fail, and how to coach that situation as well. But kids learn to work every day, understand that nothing is easy. Life is not easy. It doesn't matter if it's baseball, chess, hockey, whatever you want to do or whatever you're going to grow up to be. To be good at it, it's going to be hard. And to make it as easy as you can on yourself, you got to do it every single day. It's got to be almost an obsession. And that's what it has to become for you.
Abdul Holder wants you to preach. He said, "Preach, Josh."
I'm gonna add to his preaching. He's talking about coaches have a hard time with that. Parents have a very hard time allowing their kids to fail. Coaches have to deal with that part because they don't like their kid not
And I would be
being
good
able
to
to
come
be
back
the-
on and having a whole nother discussion about that because that's my passion and something that I think that, and I think is your passion as well. That's where we really need to adjust and change. Coaches and parents, that's where it has to start. And you know, I'm not trying to start a whole nother podcast right now.
we do that. We're trying to do that. I'm aware.
But that's, to me, that is where this all starts, and that's where the massive change actually happens. And that's where it can happen really fast because these are, you know, 8 to 12 or 6 to 12-year-olds. They don't have adult mindsets. We can preach that and teach that to them, but they only see us every so often. And the parents and coaches have to understand that we're still working with children. And when we beat down on them when they mess up, they don't want to mess up anymore. So they're not going to push themselves to mess up. And then they're going to start messing up more. And then, you know, the psychology of it. And I'm so, you know, you're blessed to have, you know, who you have with you to kind of give you some insight on that kind of stuff.
Right. And the other thing to add to that, again, we're not starting another podcast, but that I want to move forward with what Josh is saying. That's the advice. The other thing with the parents and coaches or anything involved with these kids, quit finding a way to blame something else for their failure. Just make them understand it's part of it.
Yep.
Hey, it's baseball. You know, you watch any college coach interview. Ostrander had done it two games ago. Like, that's baseball. He said it several times. And you're talking about a coach, very well known, a lot of success. He's at one of the top schools in the nation. And he's still saying it. We're talking about, you know, AA travel ball teams, you know, and parents lose their mind because the kids didn't do what they thought they should do. Yep. And they might blame you as a coach, might blame the umpire, might whatever. So yes, let's keep changing mindsets going in that direction.
That's right.
Absolutely. So we appreciate all of you guys for chiming in today. Appreciate everybody for being with us this morning, and everybody that does decide to watch or listen here in the upcoming days. I'm Charlie Rogers. He's Chancy Rogers, owner operator Bull Baseball, and Josh Kittrell, owner operator Top Level Sports in Petal. Go check them out, and we appreciate everybody, and we'll be back with you next week. But until then, see ya.
Appreciate y'all. Always about to kick off on some good stuff.
Well, that was pretty good, buddy. I like these mornings, huh?